On the Today program. John, you were just up the street near a bank of telephones. We've heard about a 911 call, and there's some police guarding just about a block and a half away from here, some telephones. What do you know?
That's right. We spoke to an officer named Avery who, as we came up the street on Spring Street, told us that we couldn't get any closer than probably 3 or 4 feet to a bank of public telephones. And asking him why, he said, I can't tell you that at this point. And I said, did it have anything to do with the detonation of what could be a bomb? And he said, I really can't tell you that. As to whether a phone call perhaps alarming people of the bomb that had gone off, whether it was a 911 call that came from those phones, we don't know. Again, the officer just insisted that he couldn't tell us, and we couldn't get any closer than 3 or 4 feet to that bank of telephones. And so most of the information that we've gotten is from various eyewitnesses who were at range from 30 feet to the stage to 100 yards from the stage of the incident.
John, Roger, thank you. As you can hear, helicopters flying above us. The helicopter response coming about an hour ago. There had been no response from any helicopters about the first hour, hour and a half of this tragedy down here. Now they are filling the skies with spotlights. And also, if we can just turn our camera around, there is still a flood of people who are waiting to get into this press conference, and a lot of people who are simply just trapped in downtown Atlanta with nowhere to go. They've kind of huddled around the police here, feeling as though maybe they are a little bit more secure in this area with all the police, with the FBI and the other agencies that are here, as well as many members of the media, some who have been taken out of the building, some who are still in the building, waiting for ACOG, the IOC, as well as you hear the helicopters now, as well as the IOC, police officials and other agencies to get to a press conference, which we had originally heard would be about an hour and 15 minutes ago, revised to about 15 minutes ago, and there is still no movement inside ACOG headquarters. Tom, that's the story from outside ACOG headquarters right now.
All right, thanks very much, Jim Gray. This is the maddening reality of our times, of course. The Olympic Games really are the quintessential celebration of excellence and achievement and determination, and people who come from all over the world to applaud that, and then to have them so crudely and tragically interrupted by what appears to be a single willful person with some cheap materials and a twisted mind going to Centennial Park tonight and some kind of an explosive device, the nature of which we don't know exactly yet. But plainly, there was an explosive device at that tower. Perhaps as many as 100 people were injured, at least one confirmed dead at a hospital, perhaps as many as 4. And it has changed the character, obviously, of these games. But they will go on. The Olympic officials and Georgia state authorities are determined to have these games go on as scheduled today so that this nation and these games and this city will not be held hostage by those kinds of acts of depravity. But vigilance will be required of everyone, quite obviously. By the way, the U.S. Red Cross has now set up a helpline, please, for families only. Please, for families only. The number is 404-685-8285. 404-685-8285. If you have not been able to reach a family member who may be here in Atlanta and you want to get some additional assistance, that's the number to call. The U.S. Red Cross always on the scene in events quite like this. So to bring you up to date, we're awaiting a press conference from the International Olympic Committee and from the Atlanta Committee on the Olympic Games. We expect that they will not show up until they've heard from the FBI about what they want to do. We have quite remarkable tape, however, taken by Mark Field, a cameraman from KNBC, of what was described to him as a suspicious package. He was told to move back by police, and shortly after that, the explosion occurred. Here in sequence, first the package, then the explosion. This is immediately after the explosion. You saw the package, then the explosion occurred. The police are down on the ground. That is, that's Ron, the sound man for Mark Field, our cameraman. The police were in the area clearing them out. They'd gotten them back about 50 feet at the time that the explosion went off, and Mark, for his part, is persuaded it was that package. He said it's exactly where it occurred. Mark is trying to get his sound man out of there, obviously. We're happy to report that Mon Liedermeyer is not seriously injured. He was taken to a hospital. He's treated, and he's already been released, and his family has been notified. The circumstances are not so happy for other people who were injured. We think that there's been at least one dead, perhaps as many as 4 who were killed in this explosion tonight. We will not know that until we have the press conference involving the Olympic Committee officials and city officials and state authorities, and my guess is that we'll probably hear from some federal authorities as well. The Justice Department now is in charge of this investigation. They've got a lot of bomb squads in Atlanta, and they're there. Let's go now to one of the doctors at one of the hospitals.
We've seen probably about 31 patients. We are getting the process of evaluating. We've had 2 of them in the operating room right now, and they're both stable. They're being taken care of. Up there, we've had 1 fatality that came in early on, and the other patients right now seem to be relatively stable. We're in the process of evaluating and getting them assessed.
Dr. Anderson, what's the nature of the injuries of the 2 who are on the operating room?
They seem to be general abdominal truncal type injuries. Both are stable right now, being dealt with by our surgeons upstairs.
And the injuries?
All right, we're hearing that was at Grady Memorial Hospital, which is the county public hospital. It's right next to a freeway, not too many blocks away from Centennial Park where the explosion occurred. Let's go now to Cynthia Tinsley of WXIA, our NBC affiliate in Atlanta. They've had their reporters scattered across the city tonight. Cynthia?
Well, Tom, earlier we decided to go back downtown just to see what the scene was like. We stopped by some hotels where we did notice that people were leaving because they said they were afraid to be here considering the explosion that happened earlier at Centennial Olympic Park. One of the people I caught up with was U.S. swimmer Janet Evans. She happened to be at a party for her retirement at the Swatch Pavilion when the bomb went off, or the explosion happened. She said that she was out on the balcony looking at the concert that was going on. The crowd had just walked back inside when she said glass just started flying everywhere and debris rained down on the people inside the party. Here's how she describes it.
Everything just went, and so all I remember just hearing shattering, and then some security guards came and covered all of us, and we all held hands, and we didn't know what to do because we were scared because it was glass, and they said, okay, leave Centennial Park as soon as you can, and we all held hands and ran out.
Janet was visibly shaken just going over the events of what had happened. She says it was all a blur. It happened so very quickly. She was at a downtown hotel waiting to talk to some of her friends in the Olympic Village. Their sentiments, Tom, seem to be the same. They all said they just want to go home.
Well, you can't blame them for that, Cynthia. On the other hand, a lot of people are going to be determined to stay here and get on with the Olympic Games, but it's going to change the character and the mood of the Games indisputably, and with good reason. We want to now just show you the videotape of the interview that Janet Evans was conducting with German television at the time of the explosion. You'll see what she went through.
She has so many people bothering her all the time. I didn't want to be another person.
And nobody's bothering you, right?
Well,
I've got too much telephone traffic in my ear. We're back, we're live. We're looking at Centennial Park now. You're looking right down into the heart of Atlanta from the blimp. And we're going to show you now an interview with Mark Field, who is a KNBC cameraman, who took that video of the suspicious package, and he describes from beginning to end what his experience was like at 1:15 this morning. Videotape is not yet ready. Mark Field is apparently, that videotape is not quite ready. I will just tell you that he was standing not too far away from the tower when the explosion occurred because he had been moved back by Atlanta police. He took some video of a suspicious package. He said it was a soft leather satchel, as he described it, leaning up against the tower. As he moved back, there was this explosion. He is persuaded in his own mind that that was the origin of this blast, and he believes that it was some kind of a crude bomb. The Justice Department has not yet confirmed that, but they are now saying it was an explosive device. All the indications are that it was probably a pipe bomb or some kind of crude bomb of that kind. There we are looking now at the tower. And then once again, live in Atlanta, Georgia, down on Centennial Park, which we've been describing as the crown jewel, the pride and joy of the Atlanta Committee on the Olympic Games. They wanted this to be the enduring legacy of these games, not just athletic venues, but a place in the city where folks could congregate in the heart of Atlanta to bring people back into this great southern metropolitan area, which has been through so much in its long history. It has been a very modern city, obviously, for the past 50 years. These Olympic Games were to be the capstone of the closing days of the 20th century for Atlanta, which was the upset and surprise winner of the 100th Olympic Games. They worked so hard to make sure everything went off very well. And until tonight at 1:15 a.m., we can say that with some very minor exceptions, these games have gone on well. People have had a very good time. And we'll tell you, as one who's gone back and forth to a lot of the venues and a lot of the places, that when we began a week ago, that the security was a little bit tighter than it has been in the closing days of this week, but still it's been very stringent at the venues. But in Centennial Park, you could come and go as you please, because there had to be a place where folks could go simply to have a good time. And that was the idea of Centennial Park. Rock concerts there every night, minor groups playing off to the side, pin trading going on. Merchants had set up various venues. The Swatch Watch Company, which is the official timer for the Olympic Games, had a large site overlooking that area. The Atlanta Chamber of Commerce is right there. The International Broadcast Center, from which we're broadcasting, is just a half a block away. CNN is located right there. There's another hotel in that area. Lots of the merchants who were both official sponsors of the games and otherwise were set up in that area. In downtown Atlanta, you're looking now at the site of this explosion. We are awaiting a news conference by the Atlanta Committee on the Olympic Games and the International Olympic Committee. We're told reliably that the games will go forward. That's the press conference site. No one has appeared yet because we think that they probably want to hear from the FBI before they come out. It would serve little purpose to say only that the games will go forward if we don't know, in fact, what happened here and what other arrangements can be expected now in the coming hours and coming days. Let's go to Mike Landis now at WXIA. That's our NBC affiliate. Mike?
Tom, we had talked earlier about the fact that to get into that particular area around the tower there, that they had some security. They did have a fence around that area. This is the little pass that you needed to be able to get up in there, and there was a security guard outside that fenced area around the tower that you would show this to, and then you could get up to go inside, and you could broadcast from in there, or if you were working lights or sound or whatever. And it is quite a surprise that someone might have been able to get in there and leave something. As we pointed out over and over again, the park itself, of course, has been filled with people. It's been designed to hold as many as 50,000 people at different times. The crowds are constantly moving. The scene that you're looking at now was taken immediately after the explosion took place by the NBC cameraman. Here is an area in which people were dancing and having a great time listening to this band, Jack Mack and the Heart Attack, and generally just enjoying the evening. Being out in downtown Atlanta, a city that's been trying so hard to rebuild its image, this crime image that's gone on for so long, suddenly it is filled with people every night of these Olympic Games coming down to the park, which is absolutely beautiful. And they are busy trying to, as you can see here, trying to help the people that have been hurt by all of this, who are stunned by all of this. You can see people wandering around in shock. You can see others that just are trying to help as best they can. The response of the people really is quite amazing. The first siren that I heard was probably within, I would say, 45 seconds to a minute after the explosion took place. It happened very, very quickly, and the response time was right there. The security people, of course, once they realized what they had on their hands, then, of course, had to move people out of there. You saw some video earlier. You see ambulances now bringing people in. At one point in time, the officers locked arms and started moving down the street to move people out so they could get these victims to get their wounds taken care of. The numbers that we've heard so far, we've come up with 31 over at Grady Hospital who have been treated. One death has been reported there, 51 treated at other hospitals, and we're still getting information. Most of these are walking wounded is the term that we've used. Back to you, Tom.
All right, thanks very much, Mike Landis. We just want to tell you that President Clinton was awakened in the middle of the evening to be told about this by his White House Chief of Staff, Leon Panetta. The president's had a wonderful time here in Atlanta. He had gone back, obviously. Vice President Al Gore here as well. In fact, he was here late last night. I'm not sure whether he stayed overnight or returned to Washington. They bring with them their own considerable security. Most of the venues had very stringent security requirements. The Centennial Park was a place that you could go in and out of pretty easily. And one who was there tonight is Tom Johnson,